This is Max Michaelani, and you're listening to the Crowject.
Left foot goal. Oh, don't tell me. He's a superstar. Don't tell me. Oh!
Bounces straight up. Leaves a path the ball. Oh, they're humming home.
Williams out Nick Kelly. Can she be the hero? Kick off goal.
She's done it. Hello and welcome to episode 273 of the Crowject podcast. Thank you off the top to our sponsors in Surly Designs, Nathaniel's Coffee and Paninis, Trojan Aluminium and ARC General Maintenance. I'm Sophie. It's not just me. I'm joined by two Bens today. I'm in the middle of a Ben sandwich. I don't know if that's how it works.
That's something.
How are you, Ben?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm great. And we're joined by Ben Keys, who's a man of many words. If you're watching on the YouTube version, yes, hello. I did remember to press record this week, so we can say that. And yeah, Benny's just sitting on the chair next to us. He's just gonna join us since it's another duo pod. So he's just gonna hang out with us. So today we're gonna do a quick rundown of our huge AFLW Showdown win. We're going to go through some of your feedback and all of the news, and there's quite a bit of news to go through. A big thank you to our amazing Patreons. You can head to patreon.com/Crowject if you would like to join. Over on the Patreon, we will have our pre-rolls, which was full of lots of fruit chat today.
Plenty of fruit
chat and a few other random poll questions.
Yep.
And we'll also have Segment Street, where we're going to go through some around the grounds. We're going to look at the AFL finals coming up and a bit of a Fantasyland tipping for the AFLW too.
Very keen on that part.
Very keen. So let's get into it. How did the Showdown go on the weekend, Ben?
Well, it was very good. We ended up winning 7-7-49 to 5-5-35. We sort of survived a bit of a late scare. Not a scare, but, you know, they were coming at us.
It was a little bit of a comeback
there. A bit shaky.
Yeah.
But got the chocolates in the end, which was very nice.
We saw goals to Jess Allen and Eloise Jones, both kicking two each.
Indeed.
And Bedell, Hatchard and Tonin also got goals. It was also Brooke Tonan's first goal. And it was also Jess Allen's first goal as well. Technically first two goals.
And Bedell's, I think. Because they all went to go and jump on her, and then I think it was Maddie Newman just fell straight on her ass because she didn't jump on her very well.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, because we experimented with chucking Bedell up forward.
We do.
So
maybe I'm thinking the fact that she was kicking goals in pre-season, so I'm like, well, she's already kicked goals.
That could be it.
So potentially congratulations as well to Bedell.
Indeed. It was just a real party for the first half.
It really was. So yeah, best players according to the match report was Marinoff, Hatchard, Jones, Jess Allen, Bedell and Randall.
That's probably about right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the crowd was 5,194.
Indeed.
And how did it feel being there, Ben? Let's talk about it.
Well, look, it's not the best oval to watch footy at.
Oh, it's a bit shit, isn't it?
It is. It probably really takes you back to, you know, like 60s, 70s, 80s SANFL footy. Not that I was there for any of that, but it just feels like that's the vibe that you would get where you're standing there and you're like, well, I can't see anything.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you who kicked those goals until I read them off the sheet, and I couldn't really tell you what happened during the game, any big moments, because I couldn't see.
Yeah.
We started behind the goals, and then at halftime we went around sort of in front of the grandstand. But even then, I was like, I still can't see.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we were a bit the same, and we were like centre wing. So we were in front of the big old high performance centre, which, you know, it's a name. We did try to walk around to the hill at one stage before the game, and they had it blocked off because it was where the umpires were running out. Oh. But they decided to block it off like 30 minutes before the game, and the umpires were absolutely nowhere near coming out. So we were all just standing there being like, can we get through? And then the umpires ended up walking away from the doors to go somewhere else. So we all just kind of stood there and huddled around the door, which was interesting.
My favourite was at halftime when we tried to go around the oval, because the bowling club comes right up to the ground, so you can't cut through.
Yep.
And so we had to then walk 3/4 of the way around the whole oval to get to where we wanted to be. And in front of that performance centre, there's only like 1.5, 2 metre gap.
Yeah, there's not much.
There's not much room. And it was shuffling.
Yeah.
it was like standstill, people just trying to like shuffle their way through. It was absolutely terrible. And it took us all of half time just to get around the oval.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Which was not good.
Yeah, because we were originally going to go and stand up by the grass with you, and then we were doing that before the game. We were like, you know what, we're just going to stand here because we found a spot. And all the rest of the ground, you could see it was maybe like 4 or 5 people deep for the whole way around. And you're just like, nah.
It didn't matter where you were standing. You weren't going to see anything.
Yep, pretty much.
So who impressed that you're aware of?
Well, Noffy's a standout, isn't she?
Absolutely,
She was very, very good. She seemed to be absolutely everywhere. And when I could see on the ground, it was usually her with the ball.
Yeah.
So she played very well. The best pretty much sums it up, I think. Hatchard, Jones. Alan was on the receiving end of about 15 free kicks because the poor ruck person had no idea what they were doing, clearly.
Nah. She got 30 hit-outs too, which is huge.
Yeah. And I mean, Matilda Skoltz, who's Port's ruckman, is only her second year, but yeah, she sort of had her colours lowered a bit, I think, by Jess on the weekend. But it pretty much sums it up. How about you?
Yeah, I agree. I thought the medal was going to be quite close between Hatchie and Noffy.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hatchie had, what does that H mean? Handballs 12. I will get to what this stat sheet and how long it took for me to get to this a little bit later on. So please bear with us. I thought Hatchie was really good. She had 12 tackles, which was massive, 6 clearances as well. Both of those were the highest for the team. Kicking that goal, a few clearances, 6 marks, 3 inside 50s, 22 disposals. Just a really well-rounded game.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a bit of everywhere as well. Like the first half, I think she played more predominantly up forward, and then they switched Randall, I think, with her in the second half, and she went into the midfield. And it was just, a very well-rounded game. And I think that's the best part of watching our team is we have so many players who can do that. Like you've got your Ponters, you've got your Jones, you've got your Hatchards, and they can go wherever you need them to go and fill a hole, which is it's nice.
Yeah, and you've got Bedell who can play forward and defence now. She can kick goals and she can stop goals. So
she's an all-rounder.
Can't complain there. But yeah, obviously Noffy also had a very good game, finishing with 29 disposals. 24 of them were kicks, 9 tackles, 5 clearances, 647 metres gained, which is pretty decent.
That's a big amount for the women's game.
Yeah. And her first quarter, she had 8 disposals and 3 inside 50s. She really set us up for that first quarter really well.
Yep.
In terms of some milestones, Ben, we had 2 players reach their 75th game.
We did. So Anne Hatchard and where are we? Stevie Lee Thompson played their 75th game on the weekend. So a very big congratulations to them. And as well as that, it was the 75th game as teammates for Noffy and Stevie Lee and Noffy and Hatchie. So Noffy's clearly just been around there the whole time. And
she has. I think that was her 80th game.
Something like that,
they said.
Because I think
she hasn't missed.
She's tied first, I think, for the most games with someone from Melbourne, I think.
That's all I know as well. I'm so nervous for who's going to miss a game first.
Yeah.
Oh, so stressful.
Need to get Noffy to the 100.
We do, absolutely. The AFLW website.
Oh God, here it just
Shall we just let it go?
Settle in, and if you're listening at home, pull it up and just have a look at what we're looking at as well. If you,
I pray for you, honestly. This is why this run sheet took so long to do, because the quality of this website and the app especially is just, it's not great. Like when you compare the AFL version. Like the men's version, and you're just like, why didn't they just copy that and just use that? Like, it's a good system that works.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it might be because they might have less people from, say, Champion Data or whoever does the stats for them, but it's pretty disappointing to see how big of a drop it is. Like, it's like comparing the AFL and the SANFL apps.
It really is. This is very much on SANFL level. The thing that nearly annoys me the most is the worm. The worm having the 2 teams on it at the same time. And I'm just like, the other worm looked fine because it would move up and down, whereas this worm is always guaranteed to go up.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't go down, it just goes up,
So
which
it
kind of
goes-
defeats the purpose of a worm, in my opinion.
So it counts it by total goals rather than points you're in front
Margin.
by.
Yeah, so it doesn't do the margin, it does the score, basically.
So pointless.
I'm like, but why?
If I wanted to know the numbers, I would have just looked at the score.
Exactly. But then just in terms of like the stats that they provide as well, like, and trying to find, like, I'm in the match now and I'm like, well, where do I find the player stats? You have to go halfway down and then click over to players. And even then you're only getting like a few different stats. And if you click in a player, it's only giving you like it's not going to load. Oh yes, it gives you like an average disposals, the disposal efficiency up the top, and then if you go down, it gives you the career averages. It doesn't give you like it has recent matches, but again, you're only getting the score, disposals, kicks, handballs, marks, tackles, and the fantasy score. Yeah. And I feel like you need a little bit more than that. Whereas on the AFL men's site, if you change it to the women's league through there, you can kind of get the more normal stats that way. But why wouldn't they just make...
Why wouldn't it just be the same?
Yeah.
Like, I get having an individual app for like news and all of that sort of stuff, but
like,
wouldn't you just transfer the scores and stuff?
Yeah, at least copy the layout of the match center.
Yeah.
With
or
like
even if
the
it like
stats
links
and
you to the
everything.
match center, it just it just makes
like,
no sense.
I don't understand because like this is using, it's the women's game, but in the AFL men's app, and you can access everything like you normally would. But why wouldn't they just copy this across to the...
Yeah, no, that's very strange. It's like they've tried to recreate the wheel
They really
when they really
have.
didn't need to
but look,
recreate the wheel.
The AFL men's app version has the normal worm.
That's all we're asking for.
I think I'm just going to get rid of the women's app and just go through the
Yeah.
men's one. Anyway, so that's why I was having some issues finding all the stats today. And in the women's app website thing, they have a section called My Stats, and you can go through and manually select the different stats that you wanted. So I had to go through and do that and then try and work out how to print it, and it went a little bit higgledy-piggledy. But anyway, we're here and it's fine. Everything's all good.
Exactly. We got there in the end.
We
all we need to
did.
know is we won.
We won.
Noffy had a lot of touches.
Noffy loves the footy. There was a lot of wholesome vibes, a lot of first goals going around. It was just a good time.
It wasn't. And I'm aware that you met a couple of players after the game.
We
did the good vibes continue?
This was really wholesome. So they said over the speaker, like, because they had the kick and catch after the game, so you could go out on the oval.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned, oh yeah, the players will be around to do signatures and photos and whatever.
Yeah.
And the way that we went on the oval, we were on like the port side and we were like, oh, it's just the port players, whatever, we'll go kick the footy. And then we look across and we're like, oh, the Crows girls are there too. And so we went over and Jess Waterhouse was basically being mobbed, like the amount of fans
TikTok
that
star
they have.
she is now.
Oh, incredible. So of course I waited very patiently and I got a photo with them, and all very exciting. It was just so wholesome seeing like adults being so excited about women's footballers.
Yeah.
Like the wholesome vibes that were just there on the oval. Everyone was just so excited to be meeting the girls, and I don't feel that same vibe when you meet the guys. Like it was just so cool.
Yeah. I feel like it's because the guys are more intimidating.
They
Because you
are
get like
very
Riley
intimidating.
Philthorpe come out and you're like, oh, you're like 7 foot and you've got this massive beard. And Jess Waterhouse is like, oh, you're kind of like my height and just,
just really nice and wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. But no, that was really cute. A few of us were saying, oh my gosh, we feel like little kids, because like we were just so excited that we could actually meet them and get photos, because I feel like a lot of the experiences at the footy are very kid focused.
Yeah.
And I feel like us adults are missing out on like so many cool experiences. So that was really nice to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope they carry that through the season.
Yeah.
Because I left pretty much straight after the siren, so I didn't get a chance.
You missed all the fun action.
I did.
But yeah, so I only got a photo with Jess in the end, because the rest of them were it was very hectic at that
I can
stage. So we were
imagine,
just like, well, we're here, they're right there, so let's get a photo with them and then we'll just kind of move out, and then we kicked the footy for a while, so that was good. I got a little bit of an injury. It's kind of healing now, but I did decide to take a chunk out of the palm of my hand with my nails. So
it
that
wouldn't
was
be
fun.
you going out if you didn't end up with an injury, would it?
Exactly. Me and playing sports, just not a good combo these days. But yeah, that pretty much rounds out the review of the Showdown. Did you have any other points that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's probably just about it. There was, other than the ground really sucked to watch footy at. I
girls
saw
were good.
Thunder Powell walk past us many times. He didn't get punched this time,
he didn't.
but I can understand.
You thought about it though, didn't you?
I can understand how he got a nosebleed from seeing the mascot outfit up close. The bit where the person's eyes are is just mesh.
Oh.
Because when it first happened, Pete and I were kind of like, how did you get a blood nose through that massive head? I can understand it now. So I'd like to apologise to whoever was in the Thunder Power outfit that night. Your blood nose is valid.
Oh, how unfortunate. Now, when are we doing the winner of the Bungie medal, Ben? When are we going to sizzle that?
That will coincide with the second biggest AFL award, the Brownlow.
Oh, brilliant.
So it'll be announced in the same evening as that. And
wonderful. I can't wait.
the leaderboard is ready. It's
Is
all
it
ready to
really?
go. I've finished it and
I don't know if I
completed
trust
it.
you.
You can. I've
Okay,
actually done
all right,
it.
all right.
I've had a lot of time to prepare. I've sizzled this for
good.
like 8 weeks now. So
Very good. Are we going to do a women's version?
let's do it.
Okay.
And
Let's do it.
We'll note it properly, and I'll do like a running tally, so it's nice and easy.
Let's remind him in 3 weeks when he hasn't.
It's a very short AFLW season, so it should be
is.
okay
All
to
right,
keep
all right.
track of.
Have you done yours?
I haven't,
Okay.
but I can give a pretty good idea of who's getting them.
All right. Would you like to go first?
Indeed.
It's
So
probably going to be the same 3, but
we know exactly where the 3 votes is going to. It's going to Ebony Marinoff.
Uh-huh.
The 2 for me is going to Eloise Jones because
course it is.
had to chuck my girl in there. And Anne Hatchard for the 1.
nice. I'm going to go 3 for Eb, 2 for Hatchie, and 1 for Jess Allen.
Beautiful. So that will leave 3 votes for Noffy, 2 votes for Hatchie, and 1 vote for Eloise Jones.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. So we'll stay on top of that.
Indeed. Did you listen to Cream's message to know what point in the podcast we should be playing it?
I have not, but
Neither have I. So this is going to be
We're going to rip the Band-Aid off.
very exciting for us all. If you would like to leave a message, though, you can contact us on 82465498 at any time.
Quite
Let us
literally
know
any
what's
time.
happening.
If you're thinking about Ben Keys' big head, give us a call.
That's just us every day.
Exactly
And
right.
what a beautiful head it is.
Indeed. And we once again thank Benny for joining us here on the podcast. He hasn't said too much yet, but you know the microphone's in front of him, and we're willing to let him speak at any time he wishes. He's certainly not tied down to the chair, or there's nothing over his mouth to stop him from speaking. A cat may just have his tongue, as may do with Port on Thursday night.
That is great padding. Thank you, Ben.
I thought that was pretty good. I was pretty happy with that.
Very good. All right. Let's see what this is.
Hey guys, Creamy here. Long time no speak. Hope you're all doing well. Just calling to leave a Creamy's call. Some pretty unfortunate news came out today. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on which way you look at it. But Jake Kelly's finally retired. That's good. But what's bad is Essendon will make finals next year, I reckon. Now that he's gone, I mean, you look at the Facebook comments, Essendon fans are rejoicing like they've won a final for the first time in 25-odd years. And off the back of that, I think, unfortunately, the Dons will at least make finals next year. So, yeah, that's my Creamy's call. Lock her in.
Well, look, it wasn't really related to the AFLW, but it's always fun to take the piss out of Essendon. Well, credit to Jake Kelly. He came through the rookie draft and he's played 168 games of AFL footy, and we can debate whether, and many of those were very good. He certainly had his moments for both us and Essendon, but congratulations to Jake for, he could have been a premiership player with us if the game went a little bit differently than what we thought it would. But
That's true, yeah.
So he's retired. And I don't think he makes that big of a difference to Essendon's team that they'll suddenly surge up the ladder into the finals, but I can see Cream's point.
Yeah. All right, we're going to head to some feedback from our socials. Would you like to take Facebook or Twitter? And I'll quickly go through what was sent through.
Indeed, I'll probably need that much time to pull up those socials with
Wait for it to load.
Technical difficulties we're having here in the studio this evening.
So we put up a story on Instagram. I couldn't tell you what it was, but you've left some feedback for us anyway. We've got Jack15_9. I remember this feeling. It's winning. Yeah, the girls. Roscoe the Boss & Co. says, I fucking love the Crowies. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, facts.
Hayden J_Arthur. Cromets makes us 10 of the last 12 Showdown's biggest club in the state. Absolutely.
And 12 of the last 13, I think I read as well. So that's, big club things.
Absolutely. And finally, Jenny OGD says, bloody glad we beat the Ferals.
Indeed. It was nice to have the Showdown trophy return home after, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
They said you can borrow it for a little while, but we'll take it back.
Exactly. Back to its rightful home.
Exactly right. And over on Facebook, we have Patreon and friend of the pod, James Payne, who said, scrappy performance, but good enough to get the job done. A lack of composure remains a big problem, though. I do agree. There are some times where we just blaze away and just kick it in hope or don't really look and it bites us on the bum. Unfortunately, our opponent on the weekend wasn't able to capitalise on that, but
yes,
the better teams probably will make us pay a bit more, so hopefully we can tidy that up. Nathan Manning says, scrappy performance, but just enough to keep the card clean and in our favour. I think that's a reference to MMA potentially, or boxing being clean and keeping the scorer's card.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Anton said they won without getting out of second gear. Our girls looked like they were blowing out the cobwebs from the off season. They just did enough to stay in front without getting into the fourth gear. Look out once they get their shit really together. And Tim says, Crows were never going to lose that. Felt like a tune-up, and although there were plenty of positives, there's plenty to work on. Go Crom, big season incoming. And lastly, one potentially directed towards you, Soph. Tracy says, oh my God, we need Lady Crom merch.
We do, and that is in the works.
Beautiful.
I'm doing the Crom eras, but the women's team version. And I've done about 3 or 4 players so far. So this week I want to try and smash out the last few players so I can put it all together.
Beautiful.
Because obviously we have a smaller season, so I want to get it out as quickly as I can.
Indeed. And
so
if you want some backfill stuff, you can always get your Dynasty t-shirts as well.
You can.
Because they would still be on the website.
Yes, it is still on the website. You can get your women's Dynasty t-shirts. I don't know if I did a jumper as well or if we just kept it as a t-shirt given the time of season, but potentially both actually might be on there.
You can get one and or the other.
Exactly. But yes, there will be Lady Crom merch on its way very shortly. I don't know if we had any feedback on Twitter because it's not loading. But if you would like to give us any feedback, you can always head to any of our socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok if we post something you want to leave us a comment. Or, of course, you can leave us a voice message and call us on 8246-5498 at any time. And we will thank our Patreons. You can join at patreon.com/Crowject for as little as $1 a month, and you can get many things there, can't you, Ben?
You can get a whole plethora of things over on Patreon. You can get our lovely pre-rolls where we talk about fruit and various different polls, which is always fun. You can get a segment street, which is where we add in a few different little segments, maybe some of your old favourites if you're an older listener of the pod. You can get, what else can you get? You can get
your crow
on, the obscure
I think it
crow.
says on the back there's a few things.
Hopefully with this women's season, we might be able to get a few interviews coming up soon, and they'll probably go up on Patreon first.
Yep.
But yeah, head over, as Soph said, for as little as $1 a month. And of course, we'd like to thank those of you who contribute $10 or more and help keep the lights on, or the singular light that we have got on at the moment. Hayden Arthur, aka The Real Hilf, Jordan Marnie, Dave Carnivale, Jessica Cook, Jake Bockove, Drew Corner, Sam Curtis, Sean Marie Davies, Brendan McGarrigan, James Payne, Simone McDonald, Jezza Withers, Paul David Clennett, Matt and Neil Roylance.
Wonderful. And if you would like to get your name read out as a new Patreon, feel free to join anytime soon.
Indeed.
And of course, if you would like some of that merch, you can head to crowject.bigcartel.com, where we've got beanies, scarves, stickers, air fresheners, your plush oversized hoodie. You still have a few cold nights, so if you want to be snug and warm before it gets too warm,
maybe you live in Melbourne and you're dealing with a cyclone. Maybe
exactly. Maybe you're in Tassie and it's really freaking cold.
It's just never warm.
Exactly. You can get them there. Obviously, the designs that I've drawn, you can get those there as well. Keep your eye out, hopefully, in the next week or two for the women's eras top thing. It's in the works and I'm very excited. That's about it. Shall we head to some news?
Sounds a plan, and we've got plenty to get through.
Here we go. All right. So we've had a few engagements over the last week and a bit. Would you like to go through those, Betty?
Indeed. So Danielle Ponta and her partner Nate got engaged last week, and there was a beautiful photo of them at the beach, I want to say.
So, yeah.
So congratulations to Danielle and Nate. And then just over the weekend, Lockie Murphy and his partner Madison got engaged as well. So we're having Crom weddings in 2025 and we're absolutely here for it. Now we move away from the engagement, Sophie, and we have a few contracts.
We have had a few contracts. So we had a really big one last week with Taylor Walker signing on for his 18th season.
Indeed. His career can have a beer.
Oh, it can definitely have a beer.
Amy Stadium watching Norwood, and then you get dropped next week. Is that how now?
Oh, are you saying that this could be why he doesn't make his 300th game because of that one beer?
I'll tell you what do you miss, a game or two for it? You never know. Neil Craig could haunt us once more, or his lack of willingness to play him because of a lack of defensive pressure, even though we've got, Brad Moran running around full forward instead.
Yes, so that was obviously very exciting last week. Obviously, we'll wait and see what kind of role he ends up playing next season, but that's exciting for the group to have his leadership hanging around the club.
Indeed, and I think it was the right call.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think he still offers enough to go for another year. So
yeah,
what capacity that is, we don't know yet, but is definitely a value to the team.
Yeah, and has done enough for the club to earn the right for another year.
Yeah. We also had Sam Berry extending for 2 years, taking him through to the end of 2026.
Beautiful.
And today we had the news that Filthy has extended for a further 3 years. He was still contracted next year as well, so that will take him through to the end of 2028.
Our core is sticking together. You've got Rochelle, Saligo, Filthy, all for those long-term sort of deals. So
yeah. And there was another speculated one. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah, indeed. I think it was reported that James Borlace has also signed on for another deal. In what capacity, we're not sure yet, because it hasn't officially been released, but multiple newsbreakers around the league have reported it. And he's probably not a name that's big enough to justify people putting false stories about it out there. So
you never know.
So there's that. And then I believe it was Lockie Gollan, Will Hamill, and another player were told to basically wait and see how our trade period goes with their exit interviews. So a couple of boys hanging on the edge, but probably not to be unexpected.
Yeah, unfortunately, someone has to make way at this time of the year. Indeed. We will just do a quick postseason injury report that came out last week. So Darcy's having a knee arthroscope or arthroscopy. I don't know which way you want to say it. And he's due to resume running in the off season. So he's going to have about 3 weeks off to recover before he starts running again. Jordan Butts is going to have a delayed start to the preseason as he's recovering from the Liz Frank surgery. They're expecting to be training fully after Christmas. Ben, why are you shaking your head?
I'm just laughing because the solo episode I did with Ray, if you go back and listen to the pre-roll about him talking about the origins of the Liz Frank injury, which may or may not be true, the brave bronze from the Berlin Olympics or something that he was talking about in that episode, which was the origin of that name, and just every time I hear it now, it just makes me think of Ray.
Same. I wrote this and I thought of that same episode because I'd never heard that story before.
Yeah, and it's totally false.
I can't tell if you're...
No, genuinely. I'll let you guys in on a little secret here. So when we were recording that pre-roll, he paused it and he goes, I'm about to release the biggest bullshit story and see if anyone pulls me up on it, and no one has pulled him up on it.
He's very convincing though. Like, it's very hard to tell when he's lying about something.
100%. Ray talks and you listen. Yeah. That's basically how it goes.
Exactly. So yeah, every time I hear the Liz Frank surgery/injury, I just think about Ray when he told that story. But part of me was like, this doesn't seem real, but it's Ray and it's in a pre-roll, so who knows? And also Braden Cook's recovering from a foot injury that he sustained in the SANFL. But he's expected to be all good for pre-season. And finally, Isaac Rankin was back running and he reported no further symptoms following his concussion in the Showdown, which is very good news.
That is beautiful. So pretty much we should be just about full strength going into pre-season next year, which is nice.
That's exciting.
Just no injuries in the off-season.
Yes.
Nothing in the lead-up. Just a nice, cruisy pre-season.
Exactly. And we've got one final point here. Did you want to touch on that?
Indeed. So Alex Neil-Bullen has nominated the Crows as his club of preference for a trade. We spoke about last week how he wants to come back to South Australia, but he's officially nominated us as his club.
Wonderful.
So we are basically a destination club at this point.
Obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
Everybody wants to come here.
Exactly right.
And why wouldn't you?
Exactly. You might even make it onto a Crom era shirt if you come here.
You might, exactly. I reckon that's what tipped him over the edge. He was like, the merch at Melbourne is a bit shit.
Yeah.
The fan merch at the Crom, though, that's pretty lit.
Straight on top. Yeah, 100%. Part of his contract is he's going to get the club to buy some of it and just put it in his locker, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Has to be.
Obviously, that's like the point that's going to get him over the line. So
exactly right. And while we're talking about trade news, it isn't written on the run sheet, but we were talking the other day. So it looks like we're in the box seat for Jack Lukosius. If he ends up leaving, because he does technically still have a year in his contract.
Yep.
Isaac coming from the Giants is also looking okay by all reports. And Matt Roses Jr. from the Gold Coast Suns kind of came out of nowhere the other day.
Yeah.
But was reported that we're interested in him and would be a handy pickup.
Indeed. All right, that's about rounds out all the news from the last week and a bit. Let's head into the round 2 preview for the AFLW.
Indeed.
So we've got Adelaide are playing Fremantle over at Fremantle Oval on Sunday at 4:35 p.m. Adelaide time. Are there any changes that you see happening?
I wouldn't have thought so, other than maybe Caitlin Gould potentially coming in.
Caitlin Gould.
And that will obviously free up the side a bit with Bedell maybe not needing to be down forward. And that's the only potential, I think.
Yeah, I feel that. I don't think there was anyone who played terribly and didn't play their role per se.
Yeah.
But again, we couldn't see much, so I can't say for sure.
No, exactly right. Because there was her and was it Hannah Munyard that had a fitness test, I think, to play but didn't get up for the game.
I reckon, yeah.
So that probably potentially 2, but we got the job done, did it pretty well. I can't see much, like there's not going to be wholesale changes or anything like that, but maybe Munyard and Gould if anyone does come in.
Yeah. What about prediction-wise? How do you reckon we're going to go against Freo?
Well, Freo had a good game. They beat Essendon by 43 points on Saturday, but that was Essendon, losing players and some of their best players going down. So you don't know how much you read into that.
Yeah.
But of course, you're going to back the Crows in. I think we've probably shaken off some cobwebs against Port there on the weekend and come into round 2 looking okay and ready to hit our strap. So I'll back us in to get the win.
How much?
We'll say 14 points.
Okay, nice.
Do we have like just a who wins and how much? There we go.
I mean, you can bring in another stat. Who's going to have the most inside 50s? Noffy again?
We'll say double digits.
Oh, she had 8 on the weekend, so you reckon she's going to get 10 or more?
Yep, I'll lock her in.
Beautiful. I'm going to say, the Crows will win by, I'm going to say 20 points. 20 flat. And most inside 50s, I'm going to go with Zoe Prowse for something different.
I don't mind it.
I've just finally loaded from the injury report from last week's AFLW. So there were 3 players who were facing fitness tests ahead of the Showdown. Caitlin Gould, Tamara Henry and Brooke Smith were also tests.
Did Hannah Munyard play and I just didn't?
No. Okay, hang on. I found the injury list. So, yeah. Caitlin Gould, Brooke Smith and Tamara Henry were all tests. Tia Charlton was 1 week with a foot injury, so she should be available as well this week.
Yep.
Najwa Allen had a hamstring for 1 to 2 weeks, so she's probably about a week off. Hannah Munyard had a hip complaint, so she's about 1 week now. And Abby Ballard, returning from that ACL last year, is probably about a week away now too.
Okay.
So it's a pretty decent, that injury list by next week should be pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Providing the weekend.
Quality players sitting in there as well.
There is a few good players sitting there, so there will be a little bit of competition for spots, you would think, in the next few weeks as those players come off the injury list.
Indeed. Not as if there's a secondary competition for them to play in to get into form, but that's another story.
That is another story indeed. Yeah, that pretty much rounds us all out tonight. Of course, you can head over to our Patreon and listen to our Obscure Crows, our pre-rolls and our Segment Street, as we have mentioned multiple times tonight. You can follow us on our socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We are at Crowject. Thank you once again to our Patreons. Of course, you can join for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/Crowject. Don't forget your Crom merch over at crowject.bigcartel.com. And thank you, Benny, for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you, Benny Keys, as well. You've been a great support for the show,
100%.
some would say. Just his presence. His presence. And that's all we need sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Just need that. Yeah, just need that third body in here when it's a duo podcast.
Exactly. Just the support. It's just been really appreciated. We will see some of you over on the Patreon, and the rest of you we will see next week.
He's fighting for the free kick, but here's Nigel's mark.